And hello everybody, and thank you for joining me this morning. As you can see, I was checking to make sure that we weren't sideways, and we're not now. I'm sitting up on two of my blocks in my blanket. If you don't have that, that's fine, don't worry about it. I'm Sue Brooks. In case you don't know me, I am the owner of the Woodlands Yoga Studio, and I've been practicing yoga for 20 years and teaching for 15. And one of the things that I have learned about yoga is that yoga is the study of self. Self of how we behave, how we think, and how we react. And that's a big word right now with what's going on in our world and how we react to things. And I'm on social media quite a bit, and I see people that are handling it well and doing things, and everybody at some point has a meltdown, including myself. But you have to come back to your very essence of who you are, and yoga helps you root into yourself. So today we're going to work on that, and when I say self, I mean self with a capital S. Self, the essence of your heart and your mind and your spirit. And the way you connect with that is with your breath. So go ahead and take a comfortable seat, and like I said, I'm up here on a couple of blocks, and I've tilted my pelvis slightly forward so that I've got a curve in my low back rather than sitting back and rounded. So you want to maintain that lordotic curve in your back. You can bring your knees a little wider and rest your hands on your knees and close your eyes and simply settle in. Maybe bring your focus right out here in front of your nose and draw the air in and fill the lungs from the bottom up. And then exhale from the top down. Keep going and allow your body to find its own natural rhythm rather than you forcing it. That rhythm is there inside you. You simply inhale and gently exhale. Each time you do, see if you can let go of a little bit of tension. Broaden across the collarbones and extend the crown of your head towards the sky. In yoga, they talk about the layers of the body. So today, we're going to try to peel away those layers, those koshas, as they're called, and see if we can't reach deep down inside our spirit. On your next inhale, bring your right ear over to your right shoulder. Don't try to hold your head, just let the gravity draw it over. On your next inhale, lift the head gently back up and allow the left ear to fall towards the left shoulder. And then inhale and come back up. Bring your hands together in front of your heart and bow your head as you turn deeply in to your own spirit. And then softly release your hands down and undo your legs So today's practice is going to be a lot of deep warm-ups, some free-flowing flow, and then some deep stretches, because I think we all need it. We've been on our devices too much, and we need to kind of stretch out. So take your blanket and roll it up and make a little mini bolster for yourself. Place it on your mat. And we're going to start with a modified fish pose supported by our bolster. Now the bolster is underneath my rib cage so that the bottoms of my shoulder blades can push into the blanket, and I can lay over the blanket with my hands out to the side. If you feel you're up where the head is just kind of floating and the hands are kind of floating, then you need to move the blanket a little further down the torso so that your shoulders have the sensation of rolling backwards. And if you can't get your hands down, or you've got an arch in your wrist, just straighten your arms a little more out to the side rather than cactus pose. You can lean your knees against each other and just pause here for a moment, or if you feel the need, you can straighten your legs out. And once again, you can close your eyes and tune in back to your breath. Feel how the body expands in all three dimensions, not just the belly rising and falling, but the back body expanding into the little mini bolster you've created. Allow yourself to settle. And if you feel like you have to move your legs a little further apart, please do so. And notice the quality of your breath. Is it choppy? Is it short? Can you allow it to smooth out, to become a little more silky in quality? Few more breaths on your own. And then slowly lift yourself up, slide your little bolster out to the side, and come down to the mat for a moment. And just observe how your spine lays upon the earth. Does it feel a little more connected? Lift your fingertips up to the ceiling, draw your shoulders down, and take your hands over your head. Point your fingers away from you as well as your toes. Take a nice, long, supine Tadasana stretch here. And a nice big inhale, and then on an exhale, draw your right knee in and just give it a hug. Gently starting to warm up. And then put that back down and take your hands over your head. Take a nice big inhale again and draw your left knee in and give it a hug. And then gently extend it back out. Draw both knees in, place your hands behind your knees for support. The knees may not be ready for full flexion yet, so you're giving them a little space back there as you rock side to side. Some of you may like the side to side, some of you may like a circle. Do whatever feels good for you.
And then come back to a neutral position and place your feet on the floor. Pick your right heel up from the inside with your right hand. Let the right thigh externally rotate more outward to the side. If you need to, step your left foot a little wider. Keep that right leg at a 45-degree angle as you begin to pump this thigh straight down to the earth. So it's not a windshield wiper, but rather straight down from your heel, straight into that thigh bone. Notice, did your left hip want to come up off the floor? If it did, take your left hand and see if you can draw your left sit bone under and more towards your tailbone. Then maybe your right thigh won't come as close to the earth, but that's fine. And then just hold it down and enjoy your breath. Then bring the right ankle across on top of the right thigh. Lift the fingertips up to the ceiling. Draw the shoulders down and take your hands over your head. Go ahead and let your arms go wider into a V shape so that we're not creating passive legs, but we're going to use our legs actively. Use your left leg to push that right ankle towards you. Flex your feet, spread your toes. Now try to externally rotate your right thigh away from you, working from the hip socket. At the same time, your left leg pushes your right ankle towards your heart. And you might even do a little pulsation here. Then bring that left foot down to the floor and roll onto your left hip and put your right foot on the floor. Bring your left hand to your right thigh and push the right thigh away from you. Take a nice big inhale, and on an exhale, reach with your right fingertips diagonally. Release that, come back, and place your right foot on the floor. Bring your left ankle on top of your right thigh. Using only your legs, lift that right leg up and press the right knee into the left ankle as you work from your left hip socket to externally rotate that left thigh away from you. Feet are flexed and toes are spread. And you might find a little pulsation in the pose again. In yoga, we have a word for that. It's called spanda. It's a drawing in and extending out. It's throughout the entire universe. Then gently put your right foot on the floor. Bring your left foot over to your right side. Take your right hand to your left thigh and push it away. Reach more energetically with your left fingertips for a different kind of twisted stretch. And gently release. Draw the knees back in and rock side to side. And then forward and back. And this time, just bring the feet down to the earth. Let the knees open wide in a supine Baddha Konasana. Draw the shoulders down and take your hands over your head. And allow your inner thighs to open. We're spending a lot of time just curled up these days, so we need to open up everything we possibly can. And then bring the knees back up one more time as you rock and roll. One last time, come all the way up and around. If you have a blanket, once again, you can place it at the center of your mat to protect your knees. Your blocks can be at the front of your mat where you need them. I have my belt if I need it. And I come into all fours here, and then part the knees and bring the big toes together. And push back into child's pose. Prong your fingers into the mat so that you can get more energy to push your hips back. And you can do a little sway side to side. And then inhale and come back up and move your hands slightly forward so that they're out in front of your shoulders. Hands are slightly turned out. We'll begin a little cat-cow here. And on an inhale, lift your heart and arch your back. And on an exhale, see if you can initiate the roll through the lumbar first, up into the thoracic, and all the way into the cervical. Then, starting with the tailbone again, let it articulate through the spine as you lift your heart. Continue with this articulated cat-cow, which will make you slow down rather than acting like a paper clip. So just slowly moving through on this lovely Friday morning, taking the time to slow down and connect and find our own roots. And then gently come forward into a lazy up dog and allow your hips to sway. And then push back into child's pose. Inhale, come forward and come into a lazy up dog. And then exhale, push back. We're just finding extension and flexion in the spine right here. Starting slow. Couple more times. And then on this last one, bring your hips up over your knees, walk your hands more forward, and allow your upper torso to bow into what we call puppy pose. The head may not reach, the armpits may not reach, but we're just kind of finding out that range of motion in our shoulders. And then inhale, come all the way down onto your tummy and place your hands on the mat for Sphinx. So my arms are like railroad tracks, and my toes, I'm going to lift each leg and lengthen it towards the back, and then clip my toes into the mat for strength. Roll my inner thighs up to the sky as I pull my rib cage away from my pelvis. And then gently release. Bring your left arm to a 45-degree angle. Tuck your left toes under. Bend the right knee and grab the right foot for a quad stretch here. So tendency is to let the belly hang. So see if you can pull the belly up and in. And at the same time, that will help you take your sit bone towards your foot and your foot towards your sit bone. And softly release. Other arm comes to a 45-degree angle. Tuck the back toes under. Draw the tummy up and in as you take your sit bone towards the foot. And gently release. Place your hands, push yourself up as you tuck your toes. Sit back into Thunderbolt on top of your heels. So, and my students have heard me say this many, many times, that arthritis tends to start in our toes, and this is one of the best things we can do for our toes. Now, if this is too much, you can come out of it a little bit, and then come back in. Come out of it,
back in again. Really make sure that little toe is pulled out. I have a tiny little toe on both sides, so I have to pull them out. Now I'm going to actually lean back even more, turn my hand and my fingers towards the back wall, and reach up with my left hand for just a modified camel. And then come down. Place your left hand behind you, lift your right hand up, lift up through your sternum, lift up through your chin, take your throat back, take your head back, and gently release. I'm going to move my blanket off of my mat, set myself up with my hands slightly wider than my shoulders, hips slightly in front of the knees or the knees behind the hips, as I tuck my toes and lift my hips, downward facing dog. So begin to pedal your dog very, very slowly. I often see people in class wanting to ride their bike. Go slow. Enjoy the breath. I've been doing a lot of walking these days, and I always get a kick out of how many people are out walking their dogs. There's a couple in our neighborhood that has 3 beautifully black Scotties that they walk together. Notice, are you letting your belly hang, or are you engaging your core as you lower each heel down? And then come back to a neutral position. Let's do what we call a skier dog. Bring the inner edges of your feet together, bend your knees, and turn your heels to the right. Straighten the left leg and lift the left hip. Notice both of my hands are on the earth, so I'm getting a stretch on the inside of my left pelvis. Then inhale, come back to center. Bend the knees, turn the heels to the left, straighten the right leg, and stretch into the right hip. Inhale and come back to center. Come forward into plank and lower down either with your knees or full chaturanga. Let's do a little Y cobra this morning. Hands straight out in a Y shape. Lengthen each leg to the back wall. Inhale and just lift your shoulders and head. Exhale, lower down. Bring the hands back about 6 inches. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, lower down. Place the hands back another 6 inches. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, lower down. This time, place them where you would normally for cobra as you draw your heart forward and come up. Then lift and come into downward facing dog. Inhale, lift the right leg up, draw the knee to the chest, step the foot forward, lower the back knee down. Bring your hands to the top of the thigh and find a sense of balance. Hands out to the side as you lift up. Heart lifts, chin lifts, throat back, head back. Lower the hands down, downward facing dog. Inhale, lift the left leg up, draw the knee in, set it forward, lower the back knee down, walk the hands up. Pause for a moment. Scissor the legs together, draw into the core. Lift the hands up once again. Exhale, lower down, downward facing dog. Here we come through the vinyasa. Inhale, come forward. Exhale, lower down. Inhale, cobra, up dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Now I've got this thing called crisscross dog. As you walk forward, you're going to step your feet in front, crossing them over. As you do this, you have to lift the hips
up higher, higher, as you come all the way to the top of your mat. And then bring your feet together. Inhale, half. Exhale, fold. Inhale, rise all the way up. Hands into prayer. So I'm going to turn and actually face the camera for this next series. So I've got my blocks in front of me. Move them over. So with all the anxiety and stress we've got today, let's come back to our breath. So first, root down. Feel your own energy rooting into the earth, and at the same time, draw that isometrically up into the core of your pelvis. Hands down by your sides. As you inhale, turn your palms out. As you exhale, turn the palms down. Inhale, let the shoulders naturally rotate. As you move through, this is called billow arms, opening up, and then push like you're pushing through water. It's almost swimming pool time here as we lift up. Exhale and lower down. Inhale, lift up. Grab onto your left wrist and reach over to your right. Turn your head and look up towards the sky. See if you can lift and lengthen through your core a little more. Inhale and come up. Exhale, lower down. Inhale, reach up. Grab onto your right wrist as you pull it over to the left. You can let that right hip go to the right a little more. Inhale and release. So let's take a malasana. So step your feet a little wider and lower down. Now, if this is really difficult for you, you can take your block and actually sit on your block. And it can be at various heights. Use your elbows to push your legs apart. At the same time, hug the legs into the elbows. Create a balanced energy action between your arms and your legs. And then gently release, lift the hips up, and then come all the way up. So step onto your left leg. Bring your right leg up for figure 4 as you forward fold into a one-legged chair. Hook your right toes around your upper left arm. You can have your hands on the blocks or on the floor. Now, most of you are probably tilted forward, so see if you can draw your sit bones back so they're more over the down heel, and then pull these toes that are hooked around your arm against the arm, and push the arm against the toes. Keep all of that. And lift your right knee towards your right armpit. Keep that, and isometrically draw your right hip back to the wall behind you. Softly release, lower the foot down, shift your blocks over if you need to, and come into a cross-legged Uttanasana. Inhale and lengthen. Come into L shape. See if you can straighten your back rather than having it rounded. And then exhale and fold at the hips as you squeeze the legs together. Inhale, lift and lengthen. Exhale, fold. Now here's the tricky part. Squeeze the legs together as you rise all the way up. Take hold of your left hand and reach over to the right for a dancing Shiva crescent. Inhale, come back. Hands out to the side for balance.
lift the front heel and step out of your cross-legged Uttanasana. Let's try the other side. Shift over to your right leg, bring your left foot up, forward fold. Sorry about that. As you sit into one-legged chair, hook the toes around the arm. Have the arm resist. Draw your sit bones back and lift that left knee. Draw the left hip back towards the wall behind you. Enjoy that deep hip stretch. And then softly lower the foot down and come into a cross-legged Uttanasana on this side. Inhale, half Uttanasana. Exhale and forward fold. Inhale, lift your heart and lengthen through your spine. Exhale, fold. Here we go. Squeeze the legs together as you come all the way up. Grab onto your right wrist as you reach out and over to the left. Dancing Shiva on this side. Inhale and come back to center. Lift the front heel, step out of it, and shake it out. Let's come to the top. Oh no, we got one more. Sorry about that. Let's warm up the arms, take them out to the sides. Bring your right arm underneath and wrap it around. Lift the elbows up. And you can do a little sway and actually round your back as you come all the way down. And then work your way back up. Draw the elbows down. Bring the feet together. Now lift your right heel first. Bend your left knee into chair and step the leg over. Once you've got your balance, maybe take a second wrap or see if you can lift the toes. Inhale and release. Lower the hands down. Left arm underneath. Wrap it around. Draw the elbows down as you begin to do what we call a funky chicken. All the way down. All the way back up. Elbows draw in. Sit into your chair. Lift your left heel up. Step it over. Stay here or take a second bind. See if you can lift the toes off the floor. Your sticky mat, whether your feet are together or slightly apart, it really does not matter. Hands into prayer. Inhale, draw down to reach up. Exhale, trace down the center of your midline. Bend your knees, place your hands, walk back, downward facing dog. See that the hands are slightly wider than your shoulders and the hands are slightly turned out. See if you can scoop those elbows towards the front of your mat. Engage your core so that your belly is not hanging on the top of your thighs. And then inhale and come forward. Exhale. Lower down, inhale up into cobra, exhale, downward facing dog. Step your left foot a little towards midline as you lift the right leg up. Open the hip and look under your right arm. Bend the knee and high five. Straighten the legs, square the hips, swing the foot all the way through for a lunge stretch as you begin to lengthen and open up. Enjoy your breath. Lower the hand down, straighten both legs. A little rocking horse here, using the power of your back
foot to push you forward or draw you back. And on the last one, step back, downward facing dog. Come through the vinyasa or take a child's pose. Downward facing dog. Step the right foot slightly in towards midline. Lift the left leg up. Open the hip. Bend the knee. High five on the left side. Then straighten the leg, square the hip, draw the foot through for a revolved lunge here. Bring your right hand a little more under the shoulder. Lengthen and turn. And lift your left arm up. Enjoy your breath. Lower the hand down and straighten the legs as you begin a little rocking horse here. Use that back ankle to propel yourself forward and back. And then step back, down dog. Take a vinyasa or child's pose. Now step that right foot to the outside of the right hand, spin the back foot down, and come into down dog lunge. Walk the hands towards that upper left corner of your mat. Be careful how this right knee wants to fall inwards. See if you can draw it so it lines up over that second toe. And then see if you can reach your block, straighten the front leg. Your legs won't be totally in line. It's a little bit of a wonky triangle as you open up. Maybe bring the back foot in just a little bit. Come up to your fingertips on the block and see if you can bring the bottom hand to your heart. And then lower down, downward facing dog. Take a vinyasa or child's pose. Here we go on the other side. Step the left foot to the outside of the left hand. Spin the back foot down. Walk your hands over towards the right corner for down dog lunge. Wrap that left sit bone under so that the knee stays in line with the toes. Then grab your block, if you need it, straighten that front leg, come up to your ridge tops, and open up for a wonky triangle. Then lift the top hand up. You can come up to your fingertips or bring your hand to your heart. And lower down, downward facing dog. Come through the vinyasa or take a child's pose. And then all meeting in down dog. Inhale, lift the right leg up, swing it to the outside of the right hand. Lower the back knee down. Now you're going to take your block. If you don't have a block, don't worry. But I'm going to place the block under my right foot for lizard on a rock. And if I need to, I can take the other block and put it underneath my other hand. This is a huge hip flexor stretch. And we definitely need to stretch those hip flexors. Then you're going to shift back a little bit. Place your hands on the floor. Now scoochie that heel forward on the block till the leg is straight. A little modified runner's stretch. Not bringing the hips so far back, but lifting and lengthening through the spine. Push through the mound of the big toe, and at the same time, wrap your outer right hip around towards your tailbone. Pull the kneecap up and engage the quad in this right leg. And then slowly come forward. Take your foot off the block. And since we're down here, we're just going to change sides. Put your left foot on the block. Right hand on the block. And you may need to move that right knee back a little bit. And turn the left toes out more towards a diagonal. This will feel better on your hips. Again, we're getting a big hip flexor stretch right here. Enjoy your breath. And then shift back. Scoot that left heel forward. Bring your hands on either side of the legs. Push through the mound of the big toe and wrap your left hip around and under towards your sit bone and tailbone. Engage the quad and pull that kneecap up into the core of the pelvis as you press on your gas. And gently release. Bring the leg out and around. Let's take a downward facing dog. And if you need a child's pose or a vinyasa, do what feels best for you. Meeting all back in downward facing dog. We're going to start with the left leg up, drop through, lunge, stretch, spin the back foot, warrior two. Bring that front arm underneath for Garu arms. Then straighten the hands out, straighten the leg and bring the hands up. Drop the back hand as you lift that front arm even more. Reach out and down into triangle. Use a block if you need to. Rotate your heart towards the sky. Bring your hands straight up. And if you can, squeeze the legs together and bring the bottom hand to your heart. Exhale, lower down, down dog. Let's go to the other side. Inhale, lift the right leg up. Warrior two. As you windmill up. And once again, front arm comes underneath. Garu arms. Draw the elbows down. Extend arms out. Lift the hands up. Straighten the front leg. Drop the back hand down. And reach. Now reaching all the way out and down and grab your block if you need to. Come into triangle. Squeeze those legs together like you're trying to scissor them, and then maybe bring that bottom hand to your heart. Exhale, lower down, downward facing dog. Vinyasa or child's pose. Same thing again, adding on. Inhale, lift the left leg up. Warrior two, coming up. Garu arms, lifting the elbows. Drawing them down. Arms come out. Lift straight up, straighten that front leg. Reach the back hand down, reverse warrior. Some people call it reverse triangle. As you reach out and down, once again,
If you need your block, please use it as you open up. Now this time, take your hand to your hip, shift your weight onto your left leg, move your hand out 30 degrees, and lift the back leg up. Top arm up. See if you can pick your tummy up a little more, and when you're ready, if you can, bring your hand to your heart. Not happening today for me. And then lower all the way down, downward facing dog. Take a vinyasa or a child's pose. And then gently leaning back in down dog. Inhale, lift the right leg up. Warrior two, coming up. Garu arms, drawing the elbows down. Opening the hands up, bringing it straight up. Reaching back first, and then out and down. Half moon, here we go. Hand to your hip. Step up, move your block or your hand. "30 degrees out. Then lift your top arm. And if you can, bring your bottom hand to your heart. There we go. And downward facing dog, everybody. Last vinyasa. Downward facing dog. And then come on down to your knees. And I'm going to bring my props here to the front. And I'm going to come into another Malasana. So Malasana is a great pose for lengthening your low back. If you've been doing a lot of sitting and you feel like your low back is compressed, this pose allows you to use the force of gravity to lengthen through the lumbar. Use those arms to push those thighs apart, and at the same time, hug those thighs in. And then gently come all the way down to the earth, legs out in front. I'm going to make sure I've got my belt here. So in yoga, we talk a lot about active and passive. In this next pose, a lot of people want to grab their ankles and pull them in for Baddha Konasana. That's a very passive way of doing it. So, draw your sit bones back, roll the flesh of your legs inward, then lean back like you're at the beach. Now, actively bring your feet together, soles of the feet, and walk your hands in. Draw your toes back as you push into your feet, out through your knees, and pull up into the core of your pelvis. So if you're back here, see if you can walk your hands in a little more and imagine the top of your head directly over the floor of your pelvis, so that your pelvis is actually drawing forward, which the floor of the pelvis then comes parallel to the earth. And gently release. So now we're going to open up into what we call Upavishta, and you can take your blocks and stack them on top. You could even use a blanket if you wanted, but take the time here and roll the flesh inwards so that the toes are straight up. They're not out or they're not in. They're just straight. I could take a pen and draw my second toe through the ankle, right through the kneecap, up into the hip socket. So I'm going to start with my blocks here on this level. If you need your blocks higher, please do so. Now, engage the quads and pull the kneecaps up into the core of the pelvis. When you do that, observe what happens. Does the hamstrings lengthen? Or do the hamstrings lengthen? That's the better English. But yet, the back of the knee is not pressed into the mat. So I'm not hyperextending. There's a natural space there. But I'm engaging the quad. And when I engage the quad, I actually feel a lift and lengthen through the torso. Now you may stay here or come down to the next level. Now, did you round to get down here? So you have to push in, lift up, take that roundedness out of your low back so that you've got a little more arch in your lumbar back here. You can take your hand and even feel it. And pause here for a moment. Once again, engage the quads, lift up through the heart and the sternum, broaden across, then maybe this time walk the hands out a little wider, pronging your fingers. So I'm going to actually make another little setup with my blocks and place my forehead on the blocks. At the same time, I'm going to engage the core so that I'm not rounded in the back. Think of cow pose rather than cat. Maybe that's a little high for me, my neck, so I can actually turn the block down, or I can remove the block and use just one block. Again, engage the quads, draw into the core, think of cow pose rather than cat pose. And gently release. Draw the knees in and do some windshield wipers. And then come back to center and bring your legs out in front in Dandasana once again. Pull the flesh and the sit bones back. Roll the flesh inwards on each leg. And then take your right hand behind your right knee and just draw your right knee in and give it a hug. The tendency is what? Little hunch asana. So see if you can lift up. Think of cow pose here. So I know this may not look like it, but I'm using this arm to help pull and lift. Place your left hand to the side, step your right foot to the side at a 90-degree angle. Bring your hand on the inside of the leg and reach it to the side. So again, you may be down here. Use this left hand. It's very important to get a lift and length. Then grab this ankle and swivel. I've actually picked up the sit bone so that I can swivel around into a figure 4 pose. If you can't reach your foot, you can take your belt and belt your foot. Draw back with your hands and roll the eyes of the elbows upward. So it's like I'm scooping. This helps to bring the shoulders onto my back. At the same time, I'm using my right ankle to press my left thigh further into the earth. Again, think of cow pose rather than cat as you forward fold. Now, those of you who are real flexible, you may find I can just go ahead and reach my foot. If you do, bring your fingers around the ball of the foot and your 2 thumbs to your second and third toe. Pull the foot back
as you lift your sternum. And then exhale and fold. Push through the mound of that big toe. Draw the mound of the little toe back to the outer knee and to your outer left hip on your straight leg. Then slowly inhale. You can put the belt to the side. We're going to lean back again like we're at the beach and draw the left knee in and come into a figure four pose. Walk your hands in until your torso is vertical. So you have to tilt that pelvis. If you're down here and rounded, it's very difficult. So use your hands, number one, to lift and lengthen through the torso, and then tilt the top of the pelvis forward. So now my back is nice and straight, and I'm not gonna let this foot sickle. So I have to push through the mound of the big toe, draw the little toe back to the outer knee, and I've got a nice figure four going on. We're going to lean back a little bit and crab walk the bottom foot over as I close my shins into fire logs, Agni Stambhasana. Now, if your knee is up to here, you're going to take your block and put your top foot on the block. This is the modification. It's simply how tight this area of your hips are and your ability to rotate your femurs in your hips. But if you're here with me, that's fine. But once again, you're going to push out through the mounds of the big toes as if you're pushing the feet apart. Prong your fingers, lift up with your heart. Get that vertical reach through the torso, and then begin to hinge forward. Let the sternum lead the way, not the head. Keep moving all the way down as you hinge forward. Then bring one arm forward and the other arm forward. And now the last thing that comes down is your head. Prong your fingers so you can get a little traction here. Pull them towards you and see if you can lift and lengthen through the spine any more. As you push the feet apart, feel if that takes you any deeper into the stretch. Some people call this double pigeon, some people call it fire logs. And then gently release, come on up, undo your legs, slide them out, and roll the flesh inwards again. Sitting up nice and tall, take your left hand behind your left knee as you pull it in and just give it a hug. Be aware once again, are you in Hanchasana or can you lift up? I'm using this to really pull in and be nice and tall. And then open up to the side, bring your arm on the inside and reach to your left. This hand is really important. I'm pushing deeply into the earth. These are my roots so that I can grow and be strong. Then reach down, grab the ankle. You're going to lift that sit bone up and swivel it around into a figure four pose. And once again, if you need your belt, belt your foot, but sit up nice and tall first. Think of cow pose, not cat pose. So you bring the heart forward. Maybe you can let go of the belt and grab the foot. Head lengthens as if something is pulling my spine as I continue to lengthen and fold over. Engage the feet. Push through the mounds of the big toes. Draw the little toes back. And notice, is one side any different than the other? And then gently release. Lean back at the beach. Draw your knee in and walk your hands in to your vertical once more. Push through the mound of the big toe. Draw the little toes back.
see if you can externally rotate this left thigh away from you. Because it wants to come up and make love to you, and you've gone, no, not today. We got to keep social distance from that knee. And then gently walk the foot over. Come into fire logs once again. And if your knee is all the way up here, put your foot on the block. Nothing wrong with that. I would rather always have you use a prop so that your body can get used to the correct alignment rather than trying to do the pose out of alignment. Take your hands behind you, prong your fingers once again. Lift up through the spine, lengthen, think cow pose as you begin to hinge forward once again. One hand forward, the other hand forward. Claw the earth. If you've got a cat, you know how cats like to knead and claw. And then gently curl all the way over. And then gently walk your hands back in, undo your legs. Let's come around. I do want to take a pigeon on each side. Facing the front of your mat, take a downward facing dog. Draw your right knee in and place it behind your right wrist for Ekapada Raja Kapotasana prep. If you can uncurl your toes, great, or if you like to tuck your back toes under, that's wonderful. If you need to use your blocks, you may do so and bring your forearms down, or you may bring your forearms to the earth, whatever feels good in your body. Now click these toes on this front foot into the earth. Draw this hip back and down. And be aware of your tummy. Is it hanging in the hole, or can you engage your core and lift and lengthen? Enjoy your breath. The more we come in contact with the earth, the more we're rooted. And when we are rooted, we are closer to the very essence of who we are. And then gently release. Place your hands, lift your knee, extend it back, and lower down. Inhale, lift the left leg up. Draw the left knee to the left wrist. Now here's the thing. If you've got a kind of cranky knee, you may find that it's better for you to have the knee wider or to have the knee more towards midline. You have to play with that. It's really your knee. What helps you get lower towards the earth? And if you need your blocks, please use them as you come down. And once again, your toes can be tucked under on the back foot, or the toes can point towards the back of the mat. If they are, click those toenails into the mat. See if you can engage your core. Legs are powerful here. Those that are flexible can flop into this pose and not use any muscle energy in their legs at all. That can be quite dangerous on your knees. So really engage the muscles of the legs and pull that energy up into the core of the pelvis. Then extend out long through the bones of the legs and up through the crown of your head. And gently release. Place the blocks to the side, pick the knee up, lift the leg all the way up, and lower down. Come down to your knees and onto your backs. Draw your knees into your chest.
Now, maybe you want to have the hands behind, maybe you want to have the hands on top. What feels good for you? Bring the legs down to the floor. Cross your right thigh over your left thigh until there's no light between the thighs. You can have the hands out in cactus pose. You're going to shift your hips to the left as you take your knees over to the right. Crab walk your right shoulder to the right so that the left will descend closer to the earth. Use your right shin to help give more tension into this left leg. And particularly, I can feel it here through my outer hip. And if I need to twist a little more, I can use my right arm and push down into the earth so that I get more of a rotation in my upper spine. At the same time, I feel how this hip wants to lift up. I'm going to engage that glute and draw it under this way. And then undo your legs and shift back to the center of your mat and just pause here for a moment. Close your eyes. Take inventory. How does that left side feel? Does it feel a little bit longer? A little more spacious? Maybe even a little more fluid? Now cross the left thigh over the right until there's no light between the thighs. Pick your hips up, move them to the right, then use your left shin to pull the right down towards the left. Use your left elbow and begin to crab walk yourself to the left. Now you don't have to have your legs at a 90-degree angle. You can actually open them up a little more, because that will allow more of tension from that leg. I'm really pushing down with that top leg to get a deeper stretch right here in my hip. And at the same time, I'm engaging and drawing this right hip under towards the sit bone. And I can use the left arm to get a little more rotation in my spine so that I can turn back and look at my right hand. Enjoy your stretch. And then inhale and come back up. Shift your hips for a moment. See that everything's equal on the mat. And just close your eyes for a moment and observe how the hips, legs, and torso feel. Draw your right knee in. Interlace your fingers behind your right thigh. Extend your left leg out upon the mat and notice how your right knee goes forward. You want to get the back of the left thigh down, so you have to tilt the pelvis a little more towards that left foot. Then push through the right heel to straighten the right leg. And here you can point, flex, and circle that right foot all the way around. Coming back to a neutral position where you're drawing the toes down and the heel pushes up, begin to lift your head and shoulders and climb up your leg, bringing your nose to your knee. Keep that, and as you lower down, bring the leg with you. Release the leg and take the hands over your head as the leg floats straight down to the earth. And just pause here and feel the difference between your right and left sides. Then draw the left knee in, interlace your fingers behind that thigh, give it a hug. Push through the left heel as you straighten the leg. Point, flex, circle around. And then draw your toes down towards your knee as you push through your heel. Lift your head and shoulders and begin to climb up your leg, bringing your knee to your nose. Keep that as you come back down, bring the leg with you. Then release the leg, keep it straight as you lower down, hands come over your head. Your final pose of a supine Tadasana stretch. Point your toes away from you, reach your fingers towards the wall behind you. Feel the spaciousness you've created in your body and the roots that you've laid down into the earth. Bring your hands along by your side and just lift your heart a little bit and bring your shoulders underneath and then settle back down into the earth. Let your legs be slightly wider than your hips and your feet to actually roll away from midline. Close your eyes and settle in with your breath. Starting with your heels, your calves, your thighs, and your hips. Your entire lower body, heel, calves, thighs, and hips. Let them surrender and root into the earth. And feel your shoulder blades, the back of your upper arms, your lower arms, the back of your hands. Feel your entire upper body, shoulders, arms, and hands, also rooting deeply into the earth. Feel the back of your head right behind your eyes. If you need to adjust so that the chin is more in a neutral position and you have equal light in your neck on both front and back. Bring your awareness to your face. Soften the skin on your forehead, all around your eyes, nose, and mouth. Release any tension you have in your jaw. Let your teeth part. Let your tongue rest. Soften your inner ears. As you turn your eyes deeply down into their sockets, and then let them root deeply into your heart, where the true essence of your spirit resides. Ride the wave of your breath. Shavasana.
keep your eyes closed as you begin to deepen your breath. Bring life back into your toes and into your fingers, into your feet and into your hands, into your legs and into your arms. Lift your hands and arms up over your head and take a nice long stretch. And then gently draw everything in towards your heart and roll to either your right or left side. What feels good for your body? Pause here. Stay close to the earth. And know you can come back to this practice anytime you need to. Find yourself by rooting your energy down and turning inward to your spirit. Roll your heart towards the earth, take your hands and push yourself up and come around to a seated position. Bring the soles of your palms together one last time. I am deeply grateful for all your support at this time of need, and I will keep going and bringing you as much free yoga as I possibly can. And if you like these free classes, you can go to our website, thewoodlandsyogastudio.com. Hit the donate button, which takes you to PayPal. Make whatever donation you can. We are grateful for all of them. And to know that I speak for every instructor here at the studio. The light within us bows to the light within each of you. Namaste. Have a great day, everybody. Hope to see you on the mat.